Hi everybody, this is Thomas here, and in this video, I want to share with you what I've been doing to get more leads for my business. And let me show you what I mean. So I'm in an incognito tab, so I'm not connected to my account. And really, the goal of this is to essentially create bottom of the funnel keywords, and everybody will have their own opinion, right? Everybody's gonna say, "Oh, search is dead." And if you don't come from an internet like background, it's okay. This is something that I've geeked about and I nerd about, and I get a little bit obsessive about because I'm always trying to figure out what the algorithm is, the system, right? Um, I worked on a couple of different apps. Like before I started my moving company, I was working on this app called TaskRabbit, right? And I figured, oh my gosh, the people who are at the top of the algorithm are probably doing thousands of dollars a day in revenue for their business. And if you're not in position one, if you're in position 10 or 20, you know, you're not going to do anywhere close to that, right? So I was always wondering, wait, what determines that? Who gets to be first in something and who's like last, right? Who is at the top and who is at the bottom, right? And right now, this is my moving company. It's not so bad, but it could be a lot better. And there are different areas in different neighborhoods where I am ranking, right? So I find it very, very interesting. So this is the map pack, right? And this is ultimately, this is where we ultimately want to be at Google Maps, right? But you know, Google Maps has their own algorithm and things that they use to determine who's nearby and who gets to show up here, right? Um, so my business is like located in Oakland Gardens. The I'm searching in Maspect, Queens, which is a little bit further away, right? But I want to know how can I eventually move up the ranks, right? So what I've really figured is, there's an algorithm, there's things that determine where you rank, right? And something like the map pack, right? This is something that I'm figuring out right now. I'm working on. A lot of it is like proximity. It's like relevance, proximity. And what it means is just like who's the closest, right? Google is gonna really refer people who are the closest because that's what you do if you're gonna search, right? Let's say this happened to me last time. I was at a supermarket and I wanted to get dog food for my sister's dog, right? And so I'm at the supermarket and I type in dog food, right? It's going to show me the closest business near me, right, where they're going to have dog food, right? So they're not going to send me, you might be the best dog food company, but you might be like 10, 20 miles away. They're not going to show you that as a result, right? It doesn't really make sense for Google. Google wants to, they want to provide a good experience for people who are using, Google, right? So proximity is so important. But I say that because there's still ways for you to eventually, move up the ranks and crack the code, right? It's just all figuring out the algorithm, and that's what I'm here for. So, you know, I think phase one, this is one thing that I'm doing. So basically, I'm in Oakland Gardens, and so if you type in like Oakland Gardens movers, right? This is my moving company, and look, I am number one because obviously I'm in it's proximity, right? They're gonna see that I'm the closest person here and I have great reviews, so they're gonna recommend me, right? I'm gonna be number one in this area. And if somebody is in Maspeth, where we were just at before, they're not gonna see me. Just like if I'm in Oakland Gardens, I'm not gonna see a moving company from Maspeth because it's a little further out, right? So, anyways, this is there's so many things you can obviously do. And like I said, this is what I'm here for. So one thing I figured out, right? Flushing. Um, I eventually got into the map hack here in Flushing. And like, if you get into the map pack, right? Like the top three map pack, like you're gonna do crazy business because it's one of the top things people see when they search, right? So obviously, sponsored posts, this Google is just pay to I don't want to say it's pay to play, right? And a lot of people start out with just paying to play. Um, I don't really, if you're not in that situation where you could spend money, like I wouldn't do it, because if I click them right here and I call them, like, Google would charge this moving company, it would take money out of its ad spend, right? But increasingly, all these platforms want really what they really want to do. Obviously, they want to provide a good experience, but they're also trying to monetize as much as they can. So I say that because eventually, as you know, there's also AI mode, and AI mode sometimes it goes straight into AI mode and it just kicks in. AI mode just kicks in. And this is why the thing that I'm building are these location pages, because ultimately in the end what I really want to do is I want to create, right? I want to create a thing that can help Google figure out, like their AI figure out who to recommend, right? So let's just click around and see what's up, because I think this is super interesting. I don't know if you think this is super interesting. I think it's super interesting. You see, okay, so see, this is so interesting, right? I am ranking. I do rank in AI mode in my area, right? And the crazy thing is, I haven't done so much to. I haven't really done so much to try to influence this yet, but that's the goal, is to figure, as like a digital marketing person, as an SEO person, where I'm always trying to figure out how do I crack the code, but then also how do I scale it, right? And is it possible, right? Because that's really what I'm here for. So, um, okay, needless to say, this is the sponsored post. This is the Google Map hack. But then you get to the search results, right? And on mobile, the search results are a lot higher because you don't see sponsored posts. Or if you do, it's very minimal. So when you are in search on mobile, these pages that I've created, they are going to show up higher, right? But needless to say, this is what I wanted to show you, is what I thought about, right? Was okay, so if I am here, right? Like if I am here and I'm looking at this general map of the area that I'm in, and if let's say I'm in this little area right here, right? This is where I am. There's a pin for it. How would I get a job over here in Garden City, or how would I get a job up here in Roslyn, or how do I get a job over here in Forest Hills? Right? I'm in New York, by the way, so very heavily a lot of competition. And I would imagine this would be a lot easier. The more outside of the city you get, because there's so much competition. Usually, this is what I've always seen, is the more they're more congested the area that you're in, the more there's just competition overall, right? If you're in an area with less like a smaller population, less competition, it's so easy to quickly rank very, very fast. Super easy, because there's probably not as many people, not as many movers and things like that, and not as many people who are going to sit there and try to figure this out. So this is the goal. And um this is what I'm working on. So obviously the end goal, in my opinion, right? I think ultimately, where things are going to really go is AI search, and AI mode. I think eventually a lot of people, I'm hearing a lot of people now go, "Oh, I found you in AI mode." And I'm like, "Wait, that's so cool." Like I think, "Oh, wow, that's amazing." Like I don't even know how I got there, but it's great. But I do know how. In a way, yes and no, right? So basically, um, this is AI mode is, they're pulling like reviews, they're pulling like who's the closest around here, right? Um, but how do you do all that? So basically, obviously it's not as easy, and a lot of agencies and a lot of marketers will say, oh yeah, we know how to do it, we know how to do it. In reality, we're all trying to figure it out. Even the AI doesn't know how it's getting, like how it's doing things, how it's getting things done. It doesn't really know, to be honest. And I think it's also just trying to figure things out, right? Sometimes it hallucinates and things of that nature, right? But okay, so the purpose of this video and what I just want to show you is how do you create a page, right? Very, very quickly that ranks right here. And even if you landed, like think about it, like Yelp, this is a very high authority page, right? So okay, I'm gonna get out of here so I could show you in here. Okay, cool. So this is perfect. Ready? So you could see, right? Like hire a helper, Yelp. Look at their domain authority. It's super high, 93. Their page authority is super high, 46. That means like this domain is really trusted and the page is also really trusted. But how am I able to get a page that has literally a domain authority of 2 and a page authority of 10? How do you get it to rank, right? That's the most interesting thing to me. And that's what I've been trying to figure out. That's what I've been working on. So, and actually it's a lot easier than said than done. So I'll go into the page and I'll show you other pages that I've worked on to kind of go into this a little bit more in depth. So basically I did actually use AI to help me create this page. No joke. I think I did. Um, but there are good things and there are bad things about that, right? So obviously I have to change all these images out because they kind of they're not great, right? But in essence, what I would really say is, oh my gosh, I'm looking at this because this is like a page that I built a couple of weeks ago, right? So I have a lot more pages now. Um, okay, cool. I have to organize this because it's getting a little out of hand. So, okay, let me just show you so you have a good understanding. Um, okay, so obviously the text is so important, right? But what you really want to convey on these pages is very, very simple. You want to show local entities, which is um things like for like parks and schools and things that are inside of that neighborhood. Put those things on the page, right? So you know talk about the neighborhood, talk about things that are in the neighborhood. It shows Google that you understand the neighborhood, right? Also talk about like moving in general, right? So you could talk about the challenges of moving. You could talk about you definitely need these tabs where there's like local movers, long distance movers, residential movers, packing services, right? um and you want to link them to your service pages, right? So a page that shows all these services, you want to link back. That's so important. And my pages aren't perfect, for sure, they're not. But the goal for me is really to get somebody to search movers when they are in the neighborhood Forest Hills, and this page shows up on page 1. If I could get to page 1, I'm really happy, because guess what? People call around for quotes, right? You don't need to be It would be perfect. It's super ideal for you to be in position number 1, right? But if you're not, it's fine. And the reason for that is because people call around, people get quotes, you know so okay, perfect. Look, I'm number 2 and my page authority sucks, and I really don't even have I don't even have you see, like, this is like Forest Hill movers. Obviously they're gonna, if your name has your town, you're gonna do really, really well. um but it's so weird because it says we're in Bayside Hills, right? So basically, what I'm showing you is if somebody types in Forest Hills movers, you want to pop up first, right? Obviously, it would be so ideal, and this is what I'm working on, and I'll be straight up transparent with you. See, I want to change the area because then it will tell me a little bit more, right? So you see, now I'm like right down here, which is Not the best, but on obviously the one thing that I figured out is most moving companies are not going to go to this level and create a neighborhood page for every single neighborhood. Most of them are going to give up. And that's what I recommend, because ultimately I think the goal is my in the end the goal I what I truly believe in my heart of hearts is, in the end, if you can create a page for every neighborhood that shows that you've done a job in that neighborhood and you understand the neighborhood, you can get ranked in AI mode in the end. Um, Obviously, you know, the AIs will also know where you're located, so that can get in the way. But you know, showing like topical authority, right? They call it topical authority, which is you are the expert, you are the most authoritative, you know, you're the most authoritative in a topic, right? Especially in a neighborhood. I think you'll eventually get a really good you'll you'll have a really good chance of ranking, I believe, in the end. Because how is Google going to be able to determine who knows the area really well? Obviously, it's who's there, but are those people active? Are those people are going to be actively getting reviews and things of that nature? So, you know, um, that's what I'm really working on, is getting these neighborhood pages established. So it's Ridgewood Movers, like, just, and to be honest, my pages aren't that great right now. I think they can move up more as as I build more domain authority. That's really the goal. You see, look, like, I'm literally in the top. I'm on page one for almost all the keywords, which I think is really freaking good. To get to page one and to spin these pages up myself with no help, and like, no content team or anything like that, I think it's really good. And I think there's an opportunity to do a lot more. So that's what I'm working on here, is creating these location pages. And the goal is to eventually build, a large enough map, be the most authoritative person in this industry in terms of covering all the areas, covering what it's like to move in all of these areas, right? And then creating great content around that. That's really the goal. Like, these pages right now, my page, it sucks. I'll be honest. It's so short. Look, it's so short. You could do this in 30 minutes, and that's what it took me, right? So it doesn't take long to do this. Actually, it doesn't take long at all. But how, getting here on page one, right under Angie's, just know this, right? The reason why I got into this is because I remember talking to Angie, and they told me, right, all Angie does is they're doing the same thing that I'm doing, and they're creating a page, and then they charge these moving companies, these 10 moving companies, to appear here. And I remember asking Angie's, how much do they charge, right? And they want $300 a month for you to get placed in one neighborhood. So, and then I remember doing the math on it and going, this doesn't make any sense, because for $300 a month, they want you to compete with 10 different moving companies. And I remember, for me, the math was this. It was, for Oakland Gardens movers, right? This is why I got into this. Um, I got into this because Angie's, right? Where is Angie's? Okay, they're right here. They told me, right, for me to get put on this page, right? And at the time they were only telling me there were three or four competitors. They were like, okay, $300 a month, you get to compete with three or four other people, moving companies, for 15 leads, because they, on their end, what they found was only 15 people a month were searching for Oakland Gardens movers. And they said, okay, $300 a month, you get to compete with four other people for those 13 people searching that term. Obviously, those 13 people searching that term can go and hire one of those four people, or any of these other people, So I was like, you know what? I'll just make my own page. And guess what? I guess I'm outranking Angie's List, or I'm right underneath Angie's List in some cases for even areas that I don't even know or understand, or that I don't even that are so far away from where I service, right? Like, I think it's incredible. So, um that's what I'm doing here, and yeah, I think it's a very, very, you know, it's a very it's a whole process, and I could show you more how I do it, but this is what I'm working on. And long term, what I really, my strategy right now is so I think it's really interesting. It's create all the pages, get all the zip codes, create every location page with that zip code. Once you do that, go to those jobs, and you're not gonna it's not the thing that I've learned is, it's like, I thought, oh my god, I'm gonna wake up and be like so busy, I'm gonna make so much money with this method. It's a slow process, right? But my strategy is, create the location pages so that all the AIs in the future will understand that you service that area. How would you in the future get jobs outside of where you are if you don't have content that shows that you actually go to those areas and you service those areas? The AI will never know. It's a language model, right? A large language model that's going to go through a lot of pieces of data, right? And information and text. You want to be able to feed that into the AI, right? So that's my strategy. Is to go wide with it, get into all the areas, and then as I do that, right, like the next phase is, okay, now let's say I just got a job in Whitestone. I'm like so happy. Oh my God, that page that I created, Whitestone, Whitestone Movers. And I'm like, oh my God, that page converted, right? Look, see, it's here. And it's literally above. I'm so happy it's above Angie's List, because Angie wants $300 a month for me to fight, right? And compete with all these other people. Obviously, would I love to be up here? Absolutely. So Google also is gonna recommend businesses that have been around longer, right? Because they're looking for like when these pages were built and how many years you've been in business. Some of these people have been in business longer than I've been alive. But I've gotten to page one, and I'm very happy with that, right? Um, so the strategy is this. Okay, I have a page now, and I'm in Whitestone. If I can get one job in Whitestone from this page, one or two, the next thing that I'll do is do a great job. Like, it's what I mean by that is, the next thing that I'm doing is optimizing for reviews. And once I get a review, I'm gonna make sure that the people in their review, they mentioned that I moved them in Whitestone, because that's a like a keyword, right? So you want in your reviews, in your reviews, it's great when they go and they do all this, right? And this is a great review, but the hack is literally to have them put the keyword in, where, like, this is like, I hope, yeah, to put the keyword in. And it's crazy that I'm telling you all this, because some of my competitors may figure that out. They might not figure it out. I don't know if they'll figure it out. But yeah, put the keyword in the reviews, and that's how you start to show up more. So I know I'm giving a lot of information, and moving companies that can capitalize on this will see the value. But yeah, this is where I'm at with it, and if you find some value in it, great. If you can do something with it, great. Because yeah. Um, I also believe that it's okay to share information, because if somebody beats me to this, right, it's only going to push me to try to figure out the next thing. And that's what I really want. So, yeah, sometimes I do wonder if I should just be putting all this out there. It's good information. Um, but yeah, so then you capitalize on the reviews, and then from there you get recommended in AI mode. So yeah, that's all. Hope this was helpful, and hope you got some value out of this. And have a great rest of your day, and peace.